and every story can change the world. Together we are Global Speakers Talk.
Greetings, everybody. My name is JB Herrera, and I'm the host for today's speech and presentation on talented speakers shouldn't stay invisible. Today, we're gathering voices from around the world, coaches, mentors, authors, and leaders, each bringing their unique wisdom on how to break through the barriers that keep messages hidden. So you're going to hear from 6 extraordinary speakers who've mastered the art of visibility, confidence, and impact. They'll share stories, strategies, and insights on how to step into your voice, own your message, and reach audiences waiting to hear from you. So at the end of this presentation, we're going to have a roundtable discussion to talk about a specific topic that's going to come up during the course of today's event. So stick around, and you'll get the wisdom and benefit of the experience of all of these great speakers. But before we get going, I just wanted to thank you for being here. For those people who are taking the time to watch this episode and this series, it's all about how we can help these great people have a platform to reach out and speak to everybody. So that you're here, you're participating from your side as an audience member. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you. Now, let's begin. Our first speaker is someone who knows exactly what it takes to help everybody step into their power in business and achieve true visibility. Trish Springsteen is a confidence and speaking coach, an award-winning mentor, and best-selling author. She empowers introverts and helps businesses achieve visibility and success through her Purple Unicorn Academy. Welcome, Trish. How you doing?
Hi, I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. Thank you. How many of you know people who are talented speakers? People who know all about their subject. They've got charisma. They've got a business. They practice their speaking. But no one else knows who they are. They haven't got invitations. They don't have any stage opportunities. They've got no recognition. And it's not because they aren't good enough. It's because they aren't visible enough. You know, people, that was me. I've got 30 years as a speaker and visibility coach. And why am I passionate about that? Because I've been there, I've done it, I know what it's like. When I first started 30 years ago, I knew what I was talking about. I knew how to help people speak. I knew how to influence and inspire people. I started my business and I thought all I had to do was sit there and people would come and see me. People would ask me to come and speak. They would want to book me on their stages. They would flood me with their phone calls, with their invitations. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And why? Because I stayed hidden. I was in my comfort zone. I was easy with what I was doing. And I thought all I had to do was be ready. I didn't realize that I had to stick my hand up. I had to shout. There were zillions of other people doing exactly what I was doing. And if I didn't stand up and shout that I had a message, that I had something to say, people would not know. And that's exactly what happened. So let's have a look at how we can change that, how I worked to change it. And maybe some of my story might help you who's sitting there thinking, I have a brilliant message. I have a fantastic book. I have an absolutely awesome business. But no one is booking me to speak. No one is asking me. All I'm hearing are crickets. So let's have a look at what I discovered in my journey on how I changed some of that. I felt that I wasn't ready in some respects. I felt that I still had to work on my speaking. I still had to polish something. But I was so busy polishing. I was so busy worrying about being ready that I wasn't getting anywhere. Readiness isn't a requirement. I discovered it becomes an outcome of visibility. What I realized was the more I spoke, the more confident I became, the more ready I became. So don't wait until you're ready. Confidence grows after you show up, not before. The more you show up, the more ready you're going to be. The more ready you're going to be in that respect, with that confidence and showing up, the more visible you're going to become. The second thing that I realized as I was going to my journey, is that if I'm good enough, I'll be discovered. I can speak. I had a message. I had expertise. I had experience. I had stories. As I said 30 years ago, that was me sitting there expecting that I'll be discovered just because I had all of that. Visibility doesn't work like that. That's what I realized. People can't book you. They can't refer you. They can't promote you as speaker if they never, ever see you. So don't wait to be asked. Visibility grows when you stop waiting for invitations. That's what I did when I suddenly realized what was happening. That if I wanted to stand out, if I wanted to have my uniqueness be seen, I had to get out there and speak. So I started doing videos. I spoke at networking events. I said yes to small stages. I took a deep breath and started to speak. And you know what? When I did that, opportunities came after people saw me speaking, not before. I had to let them see who I was. I had to give them a teaser. No one is going to book you if they don't know who you are, if they haven't seen you do some speaking, if they haven't been able to go somewhere to see a sample video, to see what you're doing on Facebook Live, or seen you speaking at networking events or online summits. They book you after they see you speaking. That's when the opportunities come. So take a deep breath. Speak before you're asked. Get out there. That's what I did. And that's when I discovered that when people had seen me and knew what I was doing, then the opportunities came. Then, of course, it's the mindset. It's a big one. We often talk about fear of speaking. We talk about overcoming that fear of speaking. But you know what? Quite often it's a fear of judgment. Quite often it's that imposter syndrome, which we hear all about now. Didn't have a term when I was there around 30 years ago. I just was afraid that people would discover that maybe I didn't know everything, that maybe I didn't know what I was doing. And that's the fear of not being good enough or being too good, the fear of success. That's what was stopping me. You need to own who you are. You need to believe in who you are. As I say, you need to be the unicorn in your business. You need to own your uniqueness. You need to step out from behind your book, behind your brand, behind your business, and give that a voice. I overcame that judgment fear, that fear of success, that fear of imposter syndrome with my 60 seconds of insane courage. That's 20 seconds to acknowledge all of that negativity that was biting away and pulling me back. 20 seconds to change that mindset, to understand and say to myself, I am awesome. I have stories. I believe in myself. People need to hear what I've got to say. And then 20 seconds to smile and say yes to opportunities, to step up, to speak, to allow myself to be seen. Don't let fear stop you. We work to overcome that fear of speaking, but there's those other fears that mostly are the ones that stop us from being seen. Because we overcome the fear of speaking. We create our keynote presentation. We know how to entice the audience in. But unless we get up and overcome that fear of judgment, imposter syndrome, that fear of not being good enough, we're not going to allow ourselves to be visible. And that's what we need to do. We have to be visible. So the people that need to hear us need to access our expertise and our talent, know how to find us and can see us. The fourth thing I had an issue with when I was working on my speaking journey was I didn't realize for quite a while that I spoke about topics, about credentials, about experience. But I should have been speaking about transformation, impact, my difference, my uniqueness. When I realized that, that's when I realized that that's what event organizers were looking for. Outcomes, not resumes, but how I could change or add value to the people in their audiences. So I switched from resumes. I switched to talking about my unique difference. I switched to talking about the outcomes, what I had to say, how that could change people and add value to their audiences. And then I realized that I got caught up in preparation. Oh, I'm a really great perfectionist, or at least I was. I was so busy crafting what I wanted to do, crafting my slides, crafting my courses, crafting my keynote presentation, wanting everything to be perfect, but not taking that next step. And so many of us do that. We get caught up in wanting that perfection. And one of my mentors said to me, you need to take imperfect action. And if you want to be visible, if you want to be found, if you want to be able to reach those people who need to hear what you've got to say, then my challenge to you is take imperfect action, because perfection leads to stagnation. Perfection doesn't allow you to grow. Visibility comes from action, not perfection. And that's scary for those of us who like to have everything all nicely created. Take a deep breath, let it go. As I said to my mentoring clients, your audience doesn't know what you're going to say next. 95% of the people in your audience do not have an idea of how your presentation's going to go. So if you change something, if you forget a word, if you find that you aren't as perfect in what you crafted, they're not going to know. Imperfect action puts you in front of them. And that's where you want to be, visible and in front of them. You can have the best message in the world, but if you are not seen, you're not going to get there. And the last thing I want to share with you, it's being consistent. It's standing up and doing it one moment after another, doing one speaking gig after another, sharing stories from your speaking journey, talking about the lessons, not just achievements. Consistency builds familiarity. Share your stories from your speaking journey. As I've shared with you today, my speaking journey. Yeah, it would have been easy to sit here in front of you and tell you I'm perfect and this is what I've been doing. But I'm not. I'm not perfect. I just get up and speak. I take a deep breath. I let you see what I'm doing, and I show you what I've been doing and how I've learned it, so that you too will realize that you can do that. You too can be visible. You too can open the curtains and create that connection. Visibility isn't about doing something huge. It's about doing small things consistently. Let me leave you with this one story. One of my clients said to me, I know I'm good, but no one seems to notice me. And I asked her this one question that was asked at me when I first started. Where are you showing up so people can notice you? And you know what? She said exactly what I did at that time. I'm not. I'm still waiting until I feel ready. And that's the moment it clicked for me. And it's the moment it clicked for her. And I hope you've realized that that's the moment it's going to click for you. Because it's not a talent issue. It's really not a confidence issue. By now, you're confident. It's a visibility issue. Because there's no getting around it, people. The world cannot benefit from a voice it never hears. Take a deep breath. Come out from behind your masks. Come out from behind your brand. Come out from behind your perfection. Come out from behind your book. Give your brand, give your business, give your expertise a voice. Your visibility is your responsibility. And the moment you choose to be seen, that is the moment that you will be seen. And that is the moment when everything changes. That's my challenge to you. I hope that sharing some of my little story, some of the challenges that I've had, will help you overcome your challenges. My passion is for each and every person that I touch to be able to see me, hear me, find me. Every time I get up to speak, I overcome my fears. I'm an introvert, people. But I'm an introvert that knows how to get out there and speak. Because I realized that if I want people to see my knowledge, I want people to see my expertise and hear my stories, I have to take a deep breath and realize it doesn't matter if I don't know who I've touched. I do know that one person out there who has heard me speak, read my books, seen me speak, heard me on a podcast, needed to hear those words that I had at that particular moment. And if I wasn't stepping up and being visible, they would never hear those words. So if you don't get up and be visible, those people aren't going to hear your words. How sad is that? Be visible. There's my challenge.
I really believe that everybody has that opportunity, but they have to do exactly what you said, right? They have to take the first step, and as you indicated, consistency will build that familiarity. As you start to move forward, follow the steps that Trish has identified. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a period of time as long as you're continuing to take the journey. What I'd strongly urge you to do, you can see the crawl down at the bottom. Take a look and see specifically how you can affect your business, your speaking, by booking that call with Trish now. She's a wealth of understanding and information and can help you build that voice and affect as many people as you can. Trish, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And stick around because we're going to have our roundtable and I'll have a couple of different thoughts for you. Okay?
I appreciate the opportunity to be visible. Thank you.
Thanks, Trish. Appreciate it. We've got a huge speaking now. I love it. Well, now we're going to go to a new speaker. His name is Mike Lyles. He's an internationally acclaimed keynote speaker, author, coach with a wealth of experience in IT, coaching, and team building. And I'm going to be really interested to hear what he has to say today. As a head of IT and PMO at Maxwell Leadership, Mike leverages his expertise to inspire others and with values-based leadership and growth principles. So, Mike, I can't wait to hear what you say because we are so aligned, it's not even funny. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mike Lyles. Oh, you're on mute, Mike.
Thank you so much, JB. Wow, what a great message to follow from Trish. I feel like she's my long lost sister from Australia. I love the story. I can relate to all the things she shared. So Trish, great job. I love that so much. Let's talk about going from invisible to influential. And it started. Okay. I want to paint a picture for each of you today. And let's go back several years. In fact, several years. It's my senior year of high school. I'm standing in front of an English class, and someone from the yearbook staff is taking a picture of me standing there. My head is down. I'm a little nervous. I'm actually a lot nervous, and I've got that nervous smile on my face. The paper's shaking in my hands. I'm reading. I'm not speaking. I'm reading because I wasn't making eye contact. I wasn't projecting. I was just trying to survive in front of the class because I was an introvert. Just like Trish said, I was an introvert myself. So if you'd have told that kid he would one day be speaking in over 15 countries, delivering keynotes to thousands of people and coaching leaders and executives, he would have laughed at you very nervously and gone back into hiding. But something shifted for me in college. I didn't become confident. I didn't become an amazing speaker. I just became responsible. I became the president of a club in my college, and I was speaking a lot during those events at school. And if you told somebody from my high school days that I would become a public speaker, they would have said, "You're talking about Mike Lyles, right?" Because I don't think that's the right person. But back in the early years, I didn't lack intelligence. I didn't lack ideas. I lacked visibility. And not because people couldn't see me, but because I was hiding. And I think many talented leaders today are doing that exact same thing. So over the years, as JB mentioned, I've been in tech conferences, leadership events, coaching rooms. I've seen people with potential to be great speakers, but they're hiding their story. And while there are many reasons why someone may hide their story, today I'm going to share 3 major reasons with you that I believe is the reason speakers stay invisible. Number 1, speakers stay invisible because they hide their story. There's a quote from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And if you know Mr. Rogers, you're probably closer to my age, but that's okay. He said, "There isn't anyone you couldn't learn to love once you've heard their story." How true is that? I love this quote because I use this theory a lot when I'm meeting people for the first time. Instead of saying, "Hey, what do you do?" many times I'll ask, "What is your story?" And the reason I do this is that sometimes people think their job or what they do is boring. But everyone loves a good story. And most everyone is comfortable to tell theirs. So why do many people hide their story? Well, here's some reasons they may be thinking in their head. Hey, it's not impressive enough. Who cares what I've done? Or what about me? They might be thinking other people have better stories. Someone else has a bigger story that's more interesting and more compelling. Or they may say mine is too ordinary. We've already heard some about that. I don't have a good story. It bores me, right? How could anybody care about my story? But here's the catch, folks. And I want you not to miss this. What makes you visible isn't how extraordinary your story is. It's how genuine, honest, and heartfelt you share it with them. Ordinary stories told honestly changes lives every day. Now, the number 2 reason I believe speakers stay invisible is because they try to impress instead of connect. As JB mentioned, I'm a Maxwell Leadership Certified Team Coach. This is a certification program that was started by John C. Maxwell. And if you don't know John Maxwell, please look him up. He's the top leadership expert, speaker, and author in the world, really. And I've studied a lot of his work, and I actually work for his company. But John and our coaches have a statement, and it aligns with what Trish shared with you, and I loved it that she shared that as well. Our statement is this: we are people of value who value others and add value to them. In John's book, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect, he makes a distinction. Communicating is about transferring information, but connecting is about transferring emotion and understanding. That's why you can sit and listen to a speaker talk for 5 minutes and you're starting to check your phone and zone out. I hope you're not doing that with me right now. It's been 5 right already. But on the other hand, you can listen to another speaker talk for an hour and wish that they would just keep going and going. You can listen to them for days. The difference is connection. So when I speak to tech professionals at events, I start out by telling them I started in IT in 1993. Wow, a long time ago. I've written code. I've managed all sizes of teams. I've worked for Fortune 50 companies, and I've started business units within those companies. I've been in the trenches. Immediately, they think he thinks like me. That's visibility. And this doesn't just apply to work. How many of you have been out and you've seen somebody wearing a shirt or something that displays your favorite sports team, or a favorite music or a musician, or some public figure? For me, it's when I see someone wearing my favorite football team in the USA, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have an instant connection with somebody. We're bonded before we even speak because we both like the same team. It's crazy. Common ground does that. And visibility is built on common ground. And when I speak to people, I want them to know that I'm out there with them. I'm part of them. I'm one of them, and I understand them. They say authority may get you on the stage, but connection is what's going to keep you there. Now, number 3, the third reason that I believe speakers stay invisible is because they wait to feel confident. Trish talked about this as well. Confidence did not come first in my journey. Speaking came first. I didn't feel confident when I started speaking publicly many years ago. Even when I started to speak more and more, I wasn't fully confident, but I was consistent. And consistency builds competence. Competence builds confidence, and confidence is what's going to build your visibility. You don't have to step out there in your first speaking experience and have all the answers. You don't have to feel like you've got it all buttoned up. You just have to try, and then try again and again and again, building that consistency until you suddenly realize, this is how I share my stories. See, courage is loud for a moment, but consistency is loud for a lifetime. So those are my 3 reasons that speakers, I believe, stay invisible. Number 1, they hide their story. Number 2, they try to impress instead of connect. And number 3, they wait until they feel confident. So what needs to change? Here's 3 shifts that I think speakers should consider to help them be more visible. Shift number 1, visibility starts with vulnerability. So when I started speaking, I felt that I needed to show that I was good, right? I need people to listen to me because I'm good. But what I found, watching people's eyes when I began to talk about my journey, my struggles, and my lessons learned, and the things that I had to overcome, and that they're going to probably run into those as well. I saw their reactions, and man, I fell in love with connecting on the stage and in public speaking. The moment I stopped trying to sound impressive and started telling them who I was, everything changed for me. Your audience doesn't need perfection, they need permission. Shift number 2, stop asking, how do I stand out? Start asking, how do I serve? We all want to be different, and that's okay. It's good to be noticed for what you bring to the table, but it's also good to make sure that you're serving others. Stephen Covey wrote a book. It's one of my favorite books of all time. It's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of those habits is called seek first to understand, then to be understood. Invisible speakers focus on themselves. Visible speakers focus on their audience. The first sentence in the book, The Purpose Driven Life, says, it's not about you. Man, when I grasped that concept, I knew that speaking was going to be with me for life. When your message becomes about helping, not proving, people start to lean in to you. And let me say one thing before I go on to shift number 3. I want to be clear that invisible speakers does not mean people that never speak. This applies, as you now see, to people who do speak but never make a connection. You can speak all day, but if you're not connecting with me, you're still invisible. Shift number 3 is clarity creates visibility. Many brilliant experts stay invisible because they sound complex. How many times have you read one of those books that puts you to sleep? How many times have you sat in a boring, deeply academic presentation and you're like, I don't get it. I can't digest this. Many times complexity hides impact, but clarity reveals it. If you can't explain your message simply, it will not resonate with your audience. I've coached speakers and leaders for years, and one thing I suggest to them when they're presenting to a group for the first time is to share their talk with someone who is not going to be there in the audience. Maybe a family member, maybe a coworker. See if they can get it easily and it resonates with them. All right, I'm going to give you a 3.5 here. Here's one actionable shift that you can apply right now and you can take away from this. Before your next talk, ask yourself, where am I just like my audience? Not where you're ahead of them, not where you're smarter than them, not where you're more experienced, but where are we the same? And start there. Connection precedes visibility. Getting people to hear your story from their side of the table is priceless. You know, I still think about that shy senior in high school sometimes, his head down, hoping it's going to be over very soon. The only difference between that kid that I was and the man speaking here today is not talent, it's not intelligence, and it's not opportunity. It's courage expressed consistently. And I hope you can see that I love speaking to people about things that I'm confident I can help them improve on. And I'm honored that I got to share this with you today. And if visibility seems far for you and you think that's the case, it's not. It's on the other side of telling your story. It's on the other side of connecting. It's on the other side of showing up again and again and again every day. Your message isn't invisible. It's waiting. And someone out there is waiting for you to stop hiding it. Thank you guys so much.
Boom. Let's just drop the mic right there. Mike, that was wonderful. Being here, the message that you have delivered is amazing. When you talk about the different elements of shifting. We're going to come back to that in the roundtable.
Right.
But one of the things I want to do is encourage the audience to really pay attention and look at the crawler down at the bottom of the banner. Please take the opportunity to go and buy his book. This book is something that most people don't. They don't take the lessons that Mike has delivered to you in a way that can be applied into their business and their lives. That book is going to help you do that. So please take the opportunity to do that. And when you can, wherever he is, take the opportunity to listen to the man. His breadth of experience is going to be able to help you take yourself to the next step. So, Mike, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. The message is awesome, and I look forward to having you back on when we talk about the roundtable later. Thank you. Well, our next speaker is a renowned keynote speaker, is a leadership expert, best-selling author. Christopher C. Hampton has inspired countless individuals and organizations worldwide to overcome obstacles, clarify their vision, reach new heights of success. Through his dynamic presentations and transformative strategies, he empowers entrepreneurs and leaders to break free from their comfort zones and unleash their inner strength. And I can't wait to hear what this gentleman has to say. So, Christopher, welcome. The stage is yours.
Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, everybody. Again, my name is Chris Hampton, and I want to start with the question: have you ever wondered why you are the greatest speaker that no one's ever heard of? Oh, the whole reason why you're watching is why talented speakers stay invisible, and you want to unlock the keys to visibility. So you have to first confront. I am a great speaker. I have a great message, but nobody is seeing me. And I was like that because I have now been graduated to my 9th year of speaking. And it is now in my 9th year of speaking that I actually started to see the global reach expand. And I was like, what happened in my first couple of years of speaking? I'm going to share with you. I'm not going to gatekeep. I'm not going to make it look like I've been walking on water all this time. No, you're seeing me because I've learned some things through experience. And the reason why a lot of people are visible, because there are a lot of great speakers out there. I run into a lot of people and they say, I have a message. I have a message. I have a message. But your message is not enough. And I know that it's a popular thing that you hear a lot of coaches tell their speakers when they're coaching, and they're saying, well, your message has value. Your message has value, but your message is not enough, right? And the reason why your message is not enough is because your message evolves over time. Your message is seasonal, okay? Your messages address the issues for a season in time. So your platform is what's missing. One of the main reasons why people struggle with visibility is they do not have a platform. And what I mean by a platform, as a speaker, you're like, well, what is your vision? What are you called to do? And a lot of people do not have a vision, a clear vision. They have a message, they have a book, they have a product, but they don't have a vision. And a vision is a clear mental picture of your preferable future, of what your impact is going to be. You also need a mission. How are you going to show up? Well, I have a book. Well, your book is not going to magically appear in people's hands. Your book is a business card that opens up your world to the world and it invites them in. It is the doorway. But what are you inviting your people to? How do you show up? I just speak. No. Do you do workshops? Do you do experiences that people can experience your platform? You see, your platform is what's holding your message, what's holding your vision, what's holding your influence, and you need to be intentional in building your platform. Another part of that platform is your vision, your mission. What is your message, right? And who is your niche? Who is your niche? The reason why you're invisible is because you're talking to the world, but your message needs to be specific to an audience that's supposed to hear your voice. But I want to speak to everybody, but you're not experienced to speak to everybody. Your message doesn't reach everybody. And a lot of times we realize that when we understand our niche as a speaker, we realize that every niche has a language. If you're speaking to college students, then when you're promoting yourself to college administration, you got to speak the administration language. If you're teaching to high schools or schools, you got to put all of your message and your marketing in the language of who you're trying to reach. So even though you have a global message, you have to make sure that your marketing is specific to the niche that you're trying to reach. The other thing is the brand. And I'm going to talk about the brand a little bit more. But again, do you see the value of making sure that you are building a platform and not a message? Over the course of my 9 years, I've had multiple messages that have evolved from my journey and just from the audience, and sometimes just dealing with customers that need something specific. So my message has changed, but the foundation is my vision is to impact the world, to dig deep, to discover, to embrace their purpose, to educate them about them and equip their purpose, and also to help them to pursue their purpose. But again, at the core of my vision of everything that I do is helping people to understand their vision and their purpose. So everything is funneled through my vision, and I'm not all over the place. Because you don't have a clear vision, message, mission, brand, and niche, you end up spending your money going to coaches and places all over the place, and you're not specific, and you end up wasting resources and time. The other area is lack of communication, lack of strong and clear communication of what you do and how you stand out in the world. Professional storytellers, rather than realizing that our story is supposed to be able to point to a greater mission. Clear communication. A lot of people cannot get on the stage, and by the time I've that have got on the stage, and I don't know who you are, I don't know what you do, I don't know how you help me. You have to have an elevator speech that you have memorized so that you can do it in 60 seconds. And in that elevator pitch, you got to be able to say, who am I? Right? What do you do? And your story is mixed into telling your story about what you do, right? Why should they be listening to you? Why should they be connecting with you right now, right? How are you going to help them? Be clear on how you're helping them, because your motivational story, people don't have time for stories. They have time for impact. How is your story going to impact my life? We've created an environment where we have a lot of speakers telling stories, but we don't know how or what you're supposed to be doing for me. And the ones that are rising to the top are the ones that are able to clearly tell story, but also tell how that story impacts the audience, and then creates a call to action, what the audiences should be able to respond to their message. You're speaking, but you have to be honest with yourself and ask, are they really connecting with your message? Or are you giving them something to connect to? So we said lack of platform, lack of clear communication of what your platform should be, right? And then next thing is a recognizable brand. Do you have a brand? And does your brand and you match? What I mean by that, I remember when I first started, because I'm known as Champ I Am, and Champ I Am is my brand too. But I remember speaking on a platform, and a government official, assemblyman, came on behind me, and he said, Champ I Am dropped some gems of knowledge on purpose and how we can help and affect the community together. And Champ I Am, and Champ I Am, and Champ I Am. And then something hit me. In the midst of him talking, my name is Chris Hampton. If he said, do you know who Champ I Am is? They would say, yes, I know who Champ I Am is. But do you know who Chris Hampton is? He said, no. You have to make sure that you and your brand when they show up, they're identifiable. When they see your brand, they see you. And when they see you, they see your brand. You have to make sure that you are consistent on how you are showing up on all the platforms. If you are Champ I Am one day, I'm Chris the other, and then I'm Moby the other, and all your platforms are so diverse, what happens is people get, you got people looking at your family chat instead of your business track. You want to make sure that your brand is clear. Everywhere I walk in the room, they say the champ is here. Why? Because I branded it that way. And now it gets to the point that when I walk into the room, my brand was in the room before I got there, speaking on my behalf. And then when I get there, they see the face to the brand. Is your brand speaking loud enough for you? You're invisible because they don't know how to differentiate you from any other speaker that's out there. Okay, so we said lack of a platform, lack of communication, lack of a recognizable brand. The last one is the lack of network. This is a community experience. When you get into the speaking world, you find out how small the speaking world is. It is a community, and the people that grow fast grow together. There are speaker communities that are out there where it's not about you jumping into my product. It's how can we grow together? That's the reason why I like Global Speakers Talk, is because I see a group of speakers coming together and saying, how can we help each other be great? That's the community I choose to click to. Because a lot of times what we do when we network is we look for the people at the top of the room and say, if I can only get to the top of the room, if I can only get to that next to that top speaker, I'll be great. But just because you're standing next to a top speaker doesn't make you great. What makes you great is when you can connect with people that have common vision. That's why your vision is important, because it lets you know who you're connecting with. And then what happens is when you have communities, we serve one another. One of the things that I've learned was you have to be able to become visible through your network. And then a lot of times it's jumping on other people's platforms and shining bright on those platforms. That happens from networking. So you can't be the quiet mouse. You have to rep your brand. But when you network, I want you to change how you're looking at networking from the way that they do it from Bill One, which is, I got to get myself out. And you're saying, how can I be a person of value to you? How can I help you accomplish your vision? What can I do for you? There have been platforms where I have been invited to speak, and I pay. After a while, I got into a point where I don't have to pay as much to be on different platforms. But if I pay to go onto a platform, it's to go to a next level and to a greater network. When you understand your vision, then you understand your purpose, then you understand why you're doing what you're doing and why you are spending resources. The reason why you're invisible is because you're trying to, you have to upgrade your circle, and then you have to show your value to that circle. And then what are you doing to help make someone else's vision great? I speak on other people's platforms to not only make my platform great, but to help make their project great as well. And then what happens is I connect with the speakers. Every time you're in the room with speakers, you need to be connecting with those speakers to find out what is it that you're doing and how can I help you get there? Because if you create that synergy, what will happen is that synergy will return back to you. And now you have other people that are asking you the question, what can I do to make you great? If you have seen me on platforms, you're seeing me on this platform today because of me helping other people be great. And because I'm on this platform, I will guarantee you that other doors are going to open for me from being on this platform. Why? Because my heart behind being here is saying, how can I make Global Speakers Talk great? And then behind that, she and the group that are behind her are going to be able to say, how can we make Chris great? And we will be great together. So we said lack of platform, lack of communication, lack of a recognizable brand, and lack of a network. Again, that lack of a network, you're not going to grow as a speaker if you don't enhance your network. And when again, There's something about joining with speakers that are on the same level as you, going in the same direction as you. You get a chance to learn from each other. You get a chance to learn from our mistakes, learn from recent pitfalls. Les Brown and them has been teaching for a long time. The pitfalls have changed, right? Learn from the people that are walking the same path as you, and you can still learn from our greats like Les Brown and John Maxwell and all those as well. But don't forget to learn from the greats that are standing with you, going in the same direction as you. That's how I created my platform. Another thing was the Champ I Am community is a platform where you can join for free and we can grow together. So that's another safe platform. So you can join champiamcommunity.com, and it's a free platform where we can grow together and we learn together and we share opportunities, right? The other part of that is I created a platform called the Champ I Am Summit, which allows speakers like you to become more visible. Now it's a global platform, just like Global Speakers Talk, where now people from all over the world are coming to speak on that platform so that they can develop their brand, develop their message, make sure that they're networking at the same time and learning how to build their platform. If you want to be the next great speaker that's being seen, join the Champ I Am Summit by joining at the champiamsummit.com, as you see it right there at the bottom scrolling. My name is Chris Hampton, and I hope that I've given you tips that will allow you to be great, because I'm great and I'm going to be greatly seen, and I want you to be great, and I want you to be seen. The world needs to know who you are. Thank you.
I love it. Champ I Am, you the man. Thank you so much. And, you know, for everybody who's listening, you've had 3 powerhouse speakers, but I will tell you that Champ I Am is like, could you feel the energy? You feel the intensity, the power that goes behind that? This is a man who can help you get to the next level. So I'm going to harangue you right now. You should be right now taking a look at everything that's scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Join that community. Apply yourself. The things that he has talked about are the exact same things that you need to do to build that brand that you currently have and the one that you want to have. So, Champ, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. We're going to come back at you in the roundtable, and I've got a good question for you, my friend.
Oh, wow. Thanks. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. All right. Well, I'm fired up. I don't know about everybody listening. So, but let's go to our next speaker. Eddie Francis is a marketing and communications consultant, award-winning broadcaster, and speaker. He hosts The Way Forward on WBOK Radio in New Orleans, and For Our Edification, a personal leadership podcast. And by the way, I've listened to that. It's a great podcast. Eddie has been quoted and featured in the Chronicle of Higher Education, the Huffington Post, Inside Higher Ed, Careers in Government, and Watch the Yard. He's also appeared in various podcasts, including Confessions of a Higher Ed CMO, The Horrible Boss Effect, Illuminate, and many, many more. So please welcome to the stage, Eddie Francis. Eddie, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I'm going to do a couple of things here to get started. First of all, I'm going to beg your forgiveness because I'm at a conference, and just to really back up a point that Chris Hampton just made about how small the speaker world is, I'm listening to Mike Lyles, and I'm listening to him talk about how his favorite team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm at a conference in Pittsburgh right now, and I also happen to be a Steelers fan after my New Orleans Saints. But it is really interesting to hear all of these thoughts from other speakers. And it was so interesting in listening to these other speakers, how many times I just nodded and said to myself, yes, true, I agree. And so I will say this, I won't be able to join the roundtable later because I'm actually speaking at this conference in a couple of hours. But I will say this, I think that there are some thoughts that I can share with you that can really help you with your speaking business. And the framework that I'm going to use for this is higher education. Now, you heard that part of my background is communications and marketing. I have led communications and marketing at 4 institutions of higher learning. Not just any type of institution of higher learning, but I have led communications and marketing at 4 historically Black colleges and universities. The reason that's relevant is higher education is a very, very crowded marketplace. For historically Black colleges and universities, it's even more crowded because HBCUs make up about 3% of the higher education marketplace. And so here's what that means. What that means is that HBCUs have to be even more competitive. They have to try even harder to get the kinds of students that they want, and not just the types of students that they want, but they have to try harder to get the types of faculty and staff that they want to come in and to make a real impact. And so what has to happen is that HBCUs have to be very intentional about what they do. Consider that in American higher education, there are over 3,000 degree granting institutions of higher learning, whether you're talking about 4-year schools, 2-year schools, HBCUs, Hispanic serving institutions, and other types of institutions, your traditional elite institutions, etc. And so we have to work really hard in communications and marketing to really carve out our space in order to stand out to the audience that we want to reach. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound like speaking to you? I hope it does, because that's really how speaking works. But here's the thing. Don't be intimidated by that, because people listen to the number of colleges and universities out there, and people say, oh, that's way too many. And then miraculously, people find a college or university that works for them. They find a place that they want to be. They call it home. It could be very well known. It could be not so well known, but it is their home. And as a speaker, while there are so many speakers out there and it seems so competitive, somebody out there wants to hear your message. Somebody's going to pay for your message. Somebody believes that your message is important. But here's my question. Do you know how to tell your story? In higher education, this is something that we hear all the time. In order to stand out, in order to get the students that we want, in order to get to the employees that we want, we need to figure out how to tell our story. That is such a common thing that college and university presidents say. And it really reminds me of a project that I worked on that was extraordinarily important. I was at a university that really, really wanted to refine its message. And this institution was struggling. The funny thing is they weren't struggling as much as they thought they were. But as far as they were concerned, they were really struggling. They were kind of desperate to get their names out there. And so we got this opportunity to work with a big marketing firm. And in working with this big marketing firm, when I did the request for proposals, there was something that this marketing firm said that really stood out and made me realize they were the right firm for us. The institution I was at the time was Dillard University. And this marketing firm said, what you need to do is you need to figure out a way to speak Dillard. What they were saying was the institution needed to figure out a way to speak in its own distinctive voice in order to get the kinds of people they wanted to get. So we get into this project. And when I talked to the marketing agency, I said, you know what? I don't want to jump straight into the sexy stuff in marketing. I don't want to jump to getting a really nice looking admissions brochure. I don't want to jump into really nice, sexy social media. I don't want to fight for attention. What I want to do is I want to do heavy research on the front end. I want us to dedicate our time to understanding exactly who we are so that we know exactly what to tell people about our value to the higher education marketplace. And we did. We did so much research. We did surveys. We did quantitative research. We did qualitative research. We surveyed the students. We surveyed prospective students, their parents. We surveyed alumni. We also surveyed the board of trustees. We surveyed the employees. We surveyed everybody. And there was something very interesting that came up. Someone said, in doing all of this research, one thing I hope we don't wind up saying is that Dillard University is a family oriented institution. I really hope that doesn't come out. I said, okay, well, let's see what the data tells us. And so as we are doing the survey and the results are coming back, I'm starting to chuckle every single time we're getting survey results. And so I go to the administration and I show them the survey results. And then they just looked at me in a meeting and they said, oh no. And I said, oh yes. The data says exactly what you don't want us to say. What the data tell us is that people believe that the biggest value of this institution is this family environment, the one thing you didn't want to hear. But you never want to fight with data because the data are telling you what you are saying about yourself. And so everybody said, oh no, not this family thing, not this family thing. Everybody says they're a family-like environment. I said, yeah, I know. Small colleges, universities, we always say that we're a family-like environment. And so they said, what are we going to do to be different? We need to be different. They wanted to fight so hard to be different, just like speakers. One speaker says, I'm a leadership speaker. Another speaker says, I'm a leadership speaker. Another speaker says, I'm a leadership speaker. And then people start panicking and realizing, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do. One thing that holds speakers back is that we become afraid to really lean into what it is that we actually do the best. Yes, there are 500 other leadership speakers out there. But if you are a great leader and if you understand leadership, why would you not be a leadership speaker? So let me get back to this project. As we are doing this project and as we are looking through the data and the data are telling us the one thing that people didn't want to hear, I asked the question one day. I said, with so many colleges and universities being family-like environment and with our being afraid to be a family-like environment, I said, I have a really crazy question. What if we lean hard into being a family-like environment? As a matter of fact, what if we were the ones to tell everybody what it means to be a family-like environment? What if we were to actually claim being a family-like environment? And what if we were the ones to say we are a family like no other family? And here's what makes us a distinct type of family. What if we were to define the type of family we are? We don't just say we're a family. We say that we are a family that is built on legacy. We are a family that is built on the belief of A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. What if we were to dive hard into it? And people still didn't like that idea. But the thing is this, here's one thing I would tell you about your distinction as a speaker and how you can stand out as a speaker and something that you should not be afraid of. One of the first things that we looked at, and the first thing I would tell you, is we looked at the mission, vision, and values of the institution. That means something. What's your personal mission? What's your personal vision? What are your personal values? Sure, it could sound like someone else's mission, vision, and values, but it's yours. And if it's yours, it means something. It means something special. The mission of the university where I was working, it meant something. And for me, the worst thing that we could do is run away from it. We had to tell people and we had to let people know that our mission was important to us. Our vision was strong. And we had to let people know that our values really meant something. As a speaker, I would encourage you to do the same thing. Develop your mission, your vision, your values. Journal about it, write it down. Talk to it with your friends and your family, other speakers. Because I'm going to tell you something that you probably just thought about, or maybe you haven't thought about, and that is a lot of times we don't focus on our personal mission, vision, and values. We want to get to the sexy part before we do the hard part. And writing about personal mission, vision, and values can be very hard because one day we may feel one thing, another day we may feel another thing. Also, sometimes what really, really kind of holds us back as speakers is our personal mission, vision, and values may be connected to the work we do, but not who we are as people. Who you are is much more powerful than what you do. The second thing I would encourage you to do is to focus on the value that you deliver, whatever that value is. In marketing, we call it a value proposition. What is the promise that you make? It's called a brand promise. What do you do so that people get value from what it is that you do? And when we think very, very clearly about the value that we deliver, sure, again, it may sound like someone else's value, but again, it is the value that you deliver. And I'm going to get to this distinction thing in just a minute, okay? Because one of the things that we discovered in our marketing project is that when we took a look at the value that the institution delivered, it was value that people wanted, it was value that people respected. Where we were making a mistake was not talking about it and not owning it and not being proud of it and not speaking about it in a way that we believe so deeply in it that other people had to believe in it as well. But here's the other thing. You know, you can't be everybody's university. One of the mistakes that that university made is they wanted to be all things to all people. They wanted every single student. And I said, do you really want every single student? After all, this university was a Christian university. I said, what about students who aren't Christian? Do you want them? And they said, well, we need them. I said, no, 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 you don't need them. You don't need them. If they don't believe in what you believe in, do you really want them here? You have to be willing as a speaker to understand which audiences are for you and which audiences are not for you. You have to be willing to accept that not everybody wants to hear your message, but you also have to be excited about the people who do want to hear your message. As a speaker, I would much rather have an audience of 10 people who believe deeply in what I'm talking about than an audience of 1,000 who maybe kind of sort of, yeah, maybe they like what I'm saying. I want those 10 vocal believers. The third thing I would say is this, is focuses on what makes you distinct. Now, there's a difference between distinction and being different. In colleges and universities and higher education, it is very hard to be different because there's so many. But I heard the funniest thing one day. I was at a conference, a marketing conference, where someone said, hey, you know what's funny? Coors beer claims to be a great cold beer, but what beer isn't great when it's cold? So what's the deal? Well, the deal is that they decided to lean into being a cold beer, and people say, great, I'm going to get that beer because it tastes great cold. As a family institution, this goes back to what I said earlier. Yes, you are a family institution like so many other institutions, but what kind of family are you? How can you lean harder into that? Distinction is something that can work very well, even if you are not incredibly different from everyone else as a speaker. I am a leadership speaker, but I believe deeply in ethical leadership. So I am an ethical leadership speaker. That is where I live in leadership. That's what makes me distinct. And that is something I lean into. And you know what happened? Only 2 weeks ago, I signed a contract yesterday. There was an institution that reached out to me and said, you have got to come speak to us because of your belief in ethical leadership. It surprised me. I'm not going to lie. And so for you, yes, you are one of many. But one of the things that will hold you back is if you keep thinking about what it is that you do that everyone else does. No, push yourself forward by living in what it is that you do, what you believe in, and what you know you can deliver to your audiences. And yes, some audiences are going to love what you have to say. Some audiences, not so much. Lean into the audiences that love what you say. You got this. You have something great. That's why you are speaking. And so it is just up to you to know how to talk about what it is that you do, your mission, your vision, your values, and what you deliver. Thank you. I can't hear you, JB. I think you're on mute.
Thank you, Eddie. I'm humbled by your presentation and your presence. Thank you so much for being here. What you've talked about is critical for every person, whether you're a speaker or not. Understanding your values, your vision, your mission, what makes you distinct. This is the key to success, in not only in speaking, but in life. So please do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Take a look at the crawler at the bottom down here. Go to eddiefrancis.com. Pay attention to the message that Eddie can deliver. And I guarantee you that when you start following the message that he delivers, you will see your life blossom into things that you never thought possible. Eddie, thank you so much. I know that you're going to be speaking in a different venue here. Would definitely love to, excuse me, would definitely love to stay in touch with you, because your message is so important. And if there's anything that I took away from today, it's owning the fact, in my world, I'm a values-driven AI system designer. If you're not interested in values, I'm not interested in working with you. So thank you, Eddie, for your message. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great summit.
Take care. Well, everybody, that was totally powerful and amazing. And I want to introduce our final speaker for today. Debbie Lynn is the heart-led hero women entrepreneurs need. She, as a business resilience strategist and certified grief educator, she helps women ignite their passion, reclaim their power, and build thriving businesses without sacrificing their well-being. This message that you're about to hear is really important, not just for the women out there, but for the men too. So please welcome to the stage, Debbie Lynn. Debbie, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. Welcome.
Welcome to all of those who are listening. So one of the first thing I'd like to ask you is, have you ever looked at your business and thought to yourself, I know how to do this, but suddenly everything seems so difficult? Nothing exploded. There was no public failure, no dramatic crashes, but life hit you. It could have been loss, burnout, anxiety, financial stress, or maybe even something you didn't even see coming. From the outside, everything looked fine. But inside, something shifted. Decisions felt heavier, sales were harder, and risks felt bigger. And quietly you wondered, what is wrong with me? Here's the truth. Your strategy's not broken. You've been in survival mode too long. Now let's break this down. When life hits, your primary brain function is protection. The nervous system shifts into threat detection. It scans for danger. It reduces risks. It slows initiation, moving forward. Now that's brilliant in crisis, but in business, that same protection reduces the speed of decision. Your risk tolerance, sales confidence, and creative authorities, they're gone. We don't know how to react. Your brain thinks that it's keeping you safe, but it's quietly slowing your revenue. Nothing's wrong with your intelligence, and nothing is wrong with your skills. But When safety is running your business, momentum stalls. And I see 3 patterns over and over again. The first pattern is the achiever. The achiever becomes careful. Before life hit, the achiever moved fast. She trusted her gut, she launched, and she decided. Then something changed. Now she rewrites offers, she delays emails, she delays sales, and she waits for the certainty that never comes. The achiever says things like, I know what to do, but I just keep hesitating. I remember after my own loss, staring at a simple email I had written 100 times before, and I could not hit send. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because something inside of me did not feel safe moving forward. And this is where your passion goes quiet. Not your drive, not your ethics, your desire. The achiever doesn't lose ambition. She stops initiating. She stops moving forward. Now, here's the educational truth. Initiation requires a sense of safety. When safety stops or it drops off, we start feeling risky. Transformation begins when we start to understand that I'm not lazy, I'm protecting. And we have to release that protection. Pattern 2 is the carrier. Now, the carrier takes it all on. The carrier responds differently. She gets stronger. She takes on more clients, more responsibility, more emotional labor. And the carrier says things like, if I don't do it myself, it's not going to get done. Everything keeps running, but nothing grows. Sales flatten, energy drains, and expansion, it disappears. And this is where power becomes protective. She still shows up, but she overthinks, second guesses every decision, and she holds on too much weight. And you see, growth needs margin. It needs room. Transformation happens when she moves from control back into leadership. Leadership delegates and control suffocates. Pattern 3, the giver. The giver shrinks in sales. The giver becomes softer, more flexible, more available, more accommodating. She lowers her prices. She extends payment plans, and she avoids strong ask, strong conversations. The giver says things like, I made it easier for my clients, but harder on myself. Sales conversations feel awkward, not because she lacks skills, but because she's trying to not take up space. This is where profit destabilizes, not from incompetence, but from shrinking. The educational truth is sales authority requires internal worth stability. When identity is shaken, pricing shakes too. Transformation can only begin when she sees that my compassion does not require my contraction. Be kind and be powerful. Now, the real loss after a major life hit is that women lose 3 things: their passion, which is their initiation, their decision authority or power, and their sales authority, profit, which means passion goes quiet, power gets protective, and profit destabilizes. You didn't lose intelligence, you stayed in protective patterns far too long. And pushing harder doesn't fix it. This is the framework I use, business CPR. Restore passion, power, and profit. Step 1 is restore passion. Remove the internal brakes. Step 2, restore power. Regulate before rebuilding. And step 3, restore profit. Rebuild your sales authority. Boundaries strengthen and pricing stabilizes. So if your business has not felt the same since life hit, notice nothing is wrong with you. You've adapted. You survived. But survival mode is not a growth mode. You're broken. You're not broken. You're buried. Buried women do not need pressure. They need restoration. So, restore your passion. Reclaim your power. Rebuild your profit. Momentum is not gone. It is waiting for you to feel safe enough to claim it again. When you do, you'll not just rebuild your revenue, you'll lead from wholeness, and that's the kind of leadership that changes everything.
Debbie, thank you so much. Really powerful words and concepts. I love the fact, restore your passion, restore your power, restore your profit. You couldn't have more succinctly put that. So thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it. Now,
thank you.
For all of our listeners listening, you can see down at the bottom, check out Debbie's offer, go to empowerherbonus.com and take a look at what she has there for you. If you're a woman listening to this, this is the perfect place for you to be empowered, to learn how to restore your passion and power, and to take yourself to the next step. So thank you very much, Debbie, for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Love it. Okay, so we've heard from a bunch of different speakers today, and these speakers have been massively amazing. And I say that intentionally, massively amazing. But what I'd like to do today is bring everybody back on and have a round table. So we've heard these speakers talk about all of their different perspectives. I'd like to bring them all back on stage. And I'd like us to explore, I guess, one fundamental question. It ties all of your experience together. So this question is this. What is the one invisible barrier that keeps most talented speakers from being seen? And what is one concrete step they can take today to overcome it? So you've all had individual steps, right? What I'd like to do is craft this in such a way that everybody who's listening can really take this and not just take the next step, but be propelled into the future that they want to build for themselves. So this is a chance to build on each other's insights, share what resonates, and offer the audience a multi-dimensional view. So who would like to go first? Trish, I'm volunteering you.
Thank you so much. I love being volunteered. Appreciate it. There's something worth going first because I can get in before everybody else says the same thing.
I love it.
For my invisible barrier, I have to, and you're saying one, but I think it actually goes together for me. It's confidence and consistency. I think if you have both of those and you have a blockage of both of those, that's going to stop you from not just being able to get up and speak, not just being able to be visible, but it's really going to stop you from being able to explore your full potential in this life. And I add belief in yourself to that. I'm very strong about believing in who you are and having that foundation very solid to fall on. So concrete step for that is for me, the confidence comes from believing in yourself. It's owning who you are and accepting that you're not perfect. Nobody, absolutely nobody in this world is perfect. And if anybody says they are, then they're pretty boring and you don't really want to talk to them because they're not going to be able to grow. In being imperfect allows you to grow. So believe in yourself, and that gives you the confidence, and then use that confidence to be consistent. Show up and own your authentic self. And that's my invisible barrier and my concrete steps to.
I love it. Thank you, Trish. That's awesome. Mike, how about you?
So I think the biggest reason that the biggest barrier is that they overestimate expertise and underestimate relatability. You know, we get too worried about being polished up and being, you know, completely strong in their experience and what we have to share with people, and they forget about that connection. And if you lose that and you lose that connection, it doesn't matter how smart you are and how many things you want to share with people. If they're not connecting with you and really relating to you, it's going to be difficult to speak to an audience. And so I think, you know, the suggestion I would have for folks is don't focus as much on the expertise and overestimate there, but really spend your time trying to be relatable. And what about you can others relate to and take away from what you have to share with them?
No, I love that, Mike. That's awesome. Champ I Am, talk to us, man.
Awesome. Chris Hampton, Champ I Am. We'll make sure to get both of you in there.
Got it. Okay.
No, I'm just playing. I think that the clear call to action, you know, we focused about being seen, but we all have been seen today, right? The key is being seen again. And a lot of times what's happening is we're so focusing on being seen that we're not laying the foundation of being seen again. And that's found in your call to action. And that's actually when you're crafting your presentation. So how do you do that? When you're crafting your presentation, you need to start with the end in mind. And we move from the end to the beginning. So what is your call to action, right? And I'm giving you a quick little tip. The call to action then leads to what is your process that you are answering. Then you go into your story, which is addressing the problem, which leads to your introduction, which starts with your purpose. So now they know who you are, they know why you're up there, they know what you solve, and the call to action is bringing it all together. And a lot of times we are not focused on, we're focused so much on giving the message that we don't build the foundation of how are you getting into my world, how are you coming into my world, and what can I do for you next?
Oh, I love that. I love that. A couple of different points there. I love, getting the call to action obviously is something that we have to absolutely have as a minimum, right? But the next part of it was really interesting that you said, without that call to action, what you lose is the opportunity to get called back. Huh. What when you think about it, as a speaker, as a person who puts themselves out there, it's not just doing it once. It's building that confidence that comes by doing it multiple times, right? Mike knows that. He's got that down. He's been out there for a while, and so is Trish. I love it. So Deb, how about you?
Yeah, for me, I'm all about heart-led. My company is Heart-Led Awakening, and I believe that it's really important for us to be talking from our heart, be authentic, and ensure that what we are doing, we're still passionate about the message and what we are conveying, because that's why we went into business in the first place. And then use our power in a way that incorporates not only our passion, but our heart, so that people know who we are and why we're doing this. To me, that is super important. And it's not about being perfect, because I know myself, the first few times I stepped on a stage, number one, was scared, but number two, it's like, okay, just do it from your heart. And even if you forget what you were going to say, it's okay. No one else knows, but you conveyed what was in your heart and what was meant to be said.
I love it. That's absolutely awesome. Now, are there any final thoughts that any of our speakers would like to give today? One thing that's burning inside that you just, oh, wait a minute, I forgot to say something. Because there's always, as speakers, as people who have gone through this process multiple times, there's always that one little tidbit that can turn somebody's life around. And we have that opportunity on this platform right now to bring that up. Is there one last thing that you'd like to say?
Yeah, I would say one thing. I think too many people underestimate the power of their story. And they're thinking, I'll say it again, it's nobody's going to like my story, but people love stories. They love if you're a storyteller. It makes you a great speaker. So share your experience, even though you think it's boring. I've been there, I know the story. Share your story, because you'll be surprised that someone out there needs that message every single time. I've never done a presentation that somebody didn't say, I got something from that. If you prepare and share you from your heartfelt, as Debbie said, you got to be heartfelt, right? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Amen. I love that. Trish, I know you had your hand up.
Oh, look, it's something that I'm very, very passionate about. And if you know that I'm very passionate about purple.
I love it.
It's just be you. It took me a long time to own who I was. And if I could just leave one thing for everybody, just be who you are. Have that courage to just own and be you, because that's the most important thing that people can connect with. It's who you are. And when you be you, it's really empowering.
I love that. That's great. Chris Hampton, champ I am. Did I get that right this time?
Yeah. You got to train them for your brand. That's another lesson.
That's it.
But no, I really say the foundation of everything I said is based off of the one word vision. People connect to vision, not causes.
Mm-hmm.
So when you realize that you're sitting there and saying, why does not everybody, I have the greatest heart in the world. I got the greatest mission in the mind. Why I'm here to feed the world and take care of everybody, and nobody is jumping to your heartfelt vision. It's because you didn't make it a vision. You made it a cause. When you do your vision, people see vision and they see themselves in the vision and they want to connect with you. So make sure that understand that you have a vision. Your vision is your why. And then your main question is, why should people connect to my vision and make room for that?
I love it. That's great. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Debbie, last thought?
I would just say, yeah, definitely sharing your story. For the longest time, I hesitated to share my story, and realized how many people can relate, and to know that your story and you are unique, and what you have to say, someone needs to hear it. And it is our responsibility to share that message, because someone is waiting for it.
I love that. That's absolutely true. Well, I want to say thank you again to our speakers who've offered their really heartfelt feelings, thoughts, emotions, their experience, their wisdom in this time that we've had together. And we started the summit with a very simple truth: that talented speakers shouldn't stay invisible. And we've heard from all of these different voices, each offering a different piece of the visibility puzzle. And I think in the roundtable, what we explored are these barriers. And what became clear to me as I was listening is that when you really understand who you are, right? From your heart, that can translate that into your values, your vision and mission. And that enables you to relate to people, to build connection with people. And that gives you the confidence to move forward. And when you do that, guess what you can do? Share your story, be who you are, share your vision, and connect with people. So speakers, again, I thank you so much. Visibility is not about luck. It's about intention. It's about architecture, how you craft that, and consistent action. So your message matters, your voice matters. Your world is waiting to hear from you, but only if you're willing to step out of the shadows and into your power. This summit isn't at the end. It's really the beginning for everybody who's listening. Take what you've learned today and build with it. One step, one strategy, one authentic message at a time. This is JB Herrera, your host for today, and I look forward to seeing you on stage. Until then, keep building, keep speaking, and keep shining. Thanks very much. Thanks, everybody.
Together we are global speakers talk.